Hey guys, it's Ryder here, and something huge happened, very under the radar. Look, I know this show isn't for everybody. I know this is not like the biggest fan base in the world, but a very favorite show of mine is coming back. I know for the ones of you who are watching this video, it's a big deal. Total Drama is coming back. Now, about a month ago, I actually think it was exactly a month ago, on May 3rd of this year, it was announced by the creative team behind Total Drama and some of the voice actors behind some of the characters for Total Drama that Total Drama would be back for another season. Now, if you include the Ridonculous Race and Total Drama All-Stars, this is going to be Total Drama Season 8. On the other hand, I do know some people don't count those, so it could be like a Season 6 or a Season 7 to other people. Regardless, that part doesn't matter. The part that does matter is that this is happening. It's going to be coming out relatively soon. So the point of this video, I want to go through some of my personal ideas, some of my personal wishes for this upcoming next season, but also I want to lay down some information and kind of get some things out there, because this is very much, they announced this before summer, I feel like on purpose, because I do think they will be showing something off this summer at some kind of convention, at some kind of press release. I do think we will actually be seeing something, a title, a full roster, a general roster, regardless, something. I do think we will be seeing this summer. So keep your eyes peeled for that, but I want to lay down some of that information. Let's talk about where this season could go. So just for everyone who doesn't know, or even for those who do know, I'll refresh your memory. About 10 years ago, a great cartoon, probably one of my favorite cartoon shows of all time, Total Drama Island, came out. And, of course, it was kind of like I think it was at the time one of Cartoon Network's, and scratch that, I think it was Cartoon Network's most popular show. It was so revolutionary. If you do think about it, it was revolutionary. And I rave about this because I don't feel like other cartoons have been able to accomplish what this show has done. It is taken, like, it's obviously it's made for, quote unquote children, obviously not, right? But it's on Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network's a channel that's geared more towards children. So they put this on there, and it's just a spoof of sorts. I actually think it's better, but it's like a scripted spoof of sorts of actual reality TV shows just about teenagers. But it's so much more than just a children's show, because I don't really think it's made for children. I think it's more made for teenagers, maybe even adults, because that's the humor on this show, and that's awesome that they're able to do like adult humor within a kid's show. But, it's like SpongeBob is able to do that, but I think this, to me, like, nails it, right? I would watch thousands of seasons of this show because it's so original, and if you think about it, it's still original. No other show, no other network has tried to replicate this, because you can't. You cannot replicate the creativity behind this, and that's what's spectacular. So, of course, you had Total Drama Island. That nailed everything, right? That was huge. Then you had Total Drama Action. So they switched things up. They went to more of like a movie set, but it was like, this is kind of a banded, really gross movie set, and that was fun. That was a new, setting change up. And then they did Total Drama World Tour, which they introduced a couple new characters, and they went all around the world, doing all these different places, to do all their challenges. And it was really fun. I really love that concept. I think they really nailed that. And then they came back for a fourth season, and they did Total Drama Revenge of the Island. So the first 3 seasons, they kept the same cast. And that consisted, of course, the exact same cast, right? That's the Total Drama main cast. Revenge of the Island introduced a whole new slew of characters. And to be honest, going into it, I didn't think I would like them, because I'm like, hey, I love these characters. Why are you switching them up? Well then, they nailed that one. Revenge of the Island is probably one of the best seasons that they've ever done. It's definitely up there with the first season, right? And they nailed that. They nailed the story. They nailed the characters. It's gorgeous. It's so fun, and I love it. It's everything from the first season, but plus some. They added some because of like how the island was toxic and all of that. Plus, this is the evolution of the character Chris. Chris McClain is the host of the show, at least the main show, right? Ridonculous Race had a different host. I'll talk about that in just a moment. Chris McClain, he was the host of all 6 seasons of the main show. So again, if you're counting Pakatu Island and, All-Stars, okay? But I think most people do, but again, I'm not you. I don't know what you're gonna do. Regardless, he starts off as kind of like this fun, kind of twisted, and by far he's the best character, I'd say. At least he's one of my favorite characters. He's so good, okay? And the voice behind him is just amazing. All right, whatever. I'm done gushing over that. But bottom line is he starts off kind of a little bit twisted, but as the seasons progress, and by the time he gets to Revenge of the Island, he's like super twisted. Like, I don't remember what season he went to jail, if that was at the end of Revenge of the Island. I think it was. I don't know, but he was just like, he got to a point where it was like almost torture, but it was funny because, again, the voice, his expressions, just the character. He's a great character. And they again nailed Revenge of the Island. So then they come back with a 5th season. Now, this one was very different, I'd say, because again, I think the episode count was about split in half, I'd say. So it was, shorter. And the cool thing though about this one is that they pulled, some of the fan favorites, which they called All-Stars, from the main 3 seasons, and then Revenge of the Island, the 4th season, and they merged them all together. It was awesome getting to see like the new cast and the old cast interact, and for the ones that they couldn't bring back as part of the real competition, they brought back in other ways, and it was really awesome and really fun. This was also a little bit different because they shortened the theme song, which again, I think the theme song is one of the more iconic things about it. Love that theme song, love the intros. It was just, it felt so different at the time, and it still feels different now, which is really crazy. And then for me, this is probably my least favorite season, Pakatu Island. So they went to a different island. This island to me wasn't as good as the original, and this new cast I did not really care for. There's a couple, gems in there, or maybe not gems, but a couple, shining stars, I guess, that they could very well pull from, which they kind of did for Ridonculous Race, but for me, and I think for Fresh TV and Terry McGinnis, I believe that's how you say his last name, whatever, the creator, behind the show, I think that was the end at that point in time. Ratings weren't as good, so they took a break right after Pakatu Island. And again, it followed in a similar style to, All-Stars, shortened theme song. Regardless, you're there, you get it, okay? So then we go into Ridonculous Race, which premiered, at least in America, in 2015. I believe in Canada it was 2014. And for me, this is where, to me, Total Drama found its new footing, right? It came back to some of that greatness because you made me actually like all of the new characters, which that was something that they just weren't able to do in Pakatu Island. I did not like most of the characters. I really loved a lot of the characters. I think all the characters in Ridonculous Race, and I'm a big fan of the show The Amazing Race, so it was awesome getting to see a spoof and spin on that, and they introduced a new host in Don, oh man. Well, I can't say, I still think I'd prefer Chris. Don's an amazing character. They nailed another host, and it's all about the way he conducts himself. So now here we are. It's 2017. Yeah, I know it's craziness, and it's been 2 frickin' years since we've seen another Total Drama, and here they are confirming it, and guess what else they're confirming? Chris McLean is back. Okay, so where do you go now? What can you do? Well, they're saying this is not going to be another Ridonculous Race. It will be another season of Total Drama. So how do you nail another season of Total Drama? You have to take characters from every single season, including the Ridonculous Race, at least I think, because there's some amazing characters on Ridonculous Race that I want to see their story progress more. Ridonculous Race made me care more about Noah. I liked Noah. I thought he was a good character originally because he was a part of the original cast. But I didn't really like him like I did in Ridonculous Race. I think they nailed him there. There's a lot of characters in Ridonculous Race as well that they need to come over. I think the ice skaters, the ice dancers, whatever. They would be awesome with somebody like Alejandro or Heather. And yeah, a lot of these characters have, at least in our eyes, in the past 10 years, they've somewhat met their end, like their character progression. But that's where you could do something fun. So there's a couple ways you can do this. Number one, you could have these once teenagers 10 years ago, you could have them in their 20s or 30s, or you could have them as adults, full-blown adults, come back and be part of this competition, which could be fun. At the same time, I would just love to see them as teenagers still, or maybe a little bit older teenagers, which could make for some interesting things going on. But if you pull from every single cast you've had, I mean, including some Pakatu Island, plus you add in a couple new characters, not too many, maybe one or two, then you've got your cast, and I really hope Don is part of the crew that's hosting. Now, look, I don't want any spotlight taken away from Chris McLean, okay? But I think him interacting with Don could be gold. It could be gold, and I want to see that, I think, more than anything, just the interaction between the two of them, what they can concoct together, that would be a ton of fun. Where do you go location-wise, though? Because that's a big deal, right? The locations are they're most fun. Now, there's a couple things you could definitely do. You could, of course, go back to an island, right? An island. We know at the end, I believe it was All-Stars or whatever, Revenge of the Island, whatever. No, I think it was All-Stars. The island, it exploded or it sunk or what, I forget what happened, but it went away, right? It's gone. And that's why in Pakatu Island they had to go to a new island, a different island, which again to me wasn't as good. So they could go to an island, right? A different island, I guess, which again, that would make for some fun things. But I also think that you could do something interesting like going to space. Now, if you go to space, the cool things here is that again, if you have this cast from, all these different, seasons, you could go to different planets and have your challenges be on these different planets that could look super exotic. And that it could kind of, lend some elements from something like Rick and Morty. Now, again, the Rick and Morty, that's a whole other level of craziness compared to, Total Drama. But there's a lot of great, time travel elements. They could even do something with time travel. I don't know how. It kind of takes all that groundedness out of it. But I think going to space would be awesome. Also, going underwater would be awesome. If you did a whole season that was kind of more so geared underwater, again, though, I do think that would be a little bit harder. But if you were to go to a different island, I would hope they go to some kind of like Hawaiian type island, something that's a little bit larger, something that's a little bit more, mainstream, that maybe has a volcano, that maybe has like a whole, I don't know, something like that. I think that would be really fun. I don't really see what else they could do because they've done something like World Tour. They've done something like Ridonculous Race, which is going around the whole world, searching for clues. So again, you go back to an island, you could go to some other kind of remote thing, you could go a little bit crazy with time travel, but I think going to space, Total Drama in space would be so awesome, and this could be like a whole revolutionary thing. I do have a couple requests though. I'll do a whole different character video sometime in the near future, but I do have a request that, number one, Cartoon Network treats this a little bit better than they did the Ridonculous Race. Now, I love the Ridonculous Race. It was great. I did reviews on all the episodes. It was a lot of fun. But I think, a downfall for it is that they aired the show within about a month. And that was because they aired one episode every single day, at least every single weekday, for 4 weeks straight. So if you think about that, you've got 5 episodes a week. That's 20 episodes. Maybe they, had 22 or whatever. Regardless, the bottom line is they gave very little time for the program. And of course, Cartoon Network has evolved. They have a lot of big shows, We Bare Bears, Steven Universe. They're getting some other new stuff. They love Teen Titans Go. They're getting some new stuff, but the Justice League Action, whatever. But I really wish they would, mainstream Total Drama more and bring it back to its full-blown glory, if you will. Because Ridonculous Race was treated a little bit, weird. And if you were to, treat this like, headline this program, you could do wonders for the network. Because if you hadn't noticed, Cartoon Network has not been as successful as it once was. Before it went all, live action and all of that, and there was like some golden age times around the early 2000s and all of that. Then around 2009, 2010 they did some weird things with live action. Now they're starting to come back to their full glory. It's just like their shows are, I don't know. I don't really know, but I think Total Drama would be really great to just bring that back, to have that fully come back. So here's what we're going to do. Again, I told you guys, I'm going to be doing a bunch of Total Drama videos, and of course I do a cartoon podcast, The Animation Block, which is over on the Big Bang Network. You can check that out for some more Total Drama and other, Cartoon Network related content. The next video I'll probably do is going to be on some character wish lists that I want to see. But bottom line, I want to know your thoughts. I want to know your ideas on Total Drama, your ideas for setting. I want to know where you think they're going to take the progression of certain characters, and more than ever, I want you to concoct a list of characters you want to see return. Thank you so much for watching, and of course, again, I told you, I'll be covering Total Dramas. You gotta be subscribed. If you're not subscribed, I don't know what you're doing. No, you gotta subscribe. Alright, I'll see you guys later. I'm Ryder, signing off with infinite attitude, and keep riding, guys.